Dear all, I'm really sorry for the delay. We had a small glitch at our end and hence the delay. But I'm glad that you're all here now. Once again, I hope my voice is audible and clear. You can give me a quick yes or no in chat. I will type on the chat. Hope all of them are able to see. Yeah, you should be able to chat with me now. Can you see me, guys? Great. Very good, very good. Okay. Wonderful. Great. Good to see all of them. Thank you so much for the patience and waiting for us. We also have our speaker here with us, Mr. Avinash, who will join us in a little while. Great. Yeah, I see a bunch of them here, Mr. Praveen, Ms. Rupali, Mr. Rama, Mr. Pankita, Ms. Pankita. Great. Okay. All right. So good to see that we already have about 55 participants on board. And I see Ms. Lata has raised her hand. Ms. Lata, let me know if there's anything that I can help you with. Yeah. Hi, Ms. Archana. Okay, we have Ms. Meenakshi as well here. Good afternoon, everyone. All right, great. So we once again apologies for the delay. No problem. So we will start off in about 5 minutes. I know we are about 15 minutes late, but I can assure you that we have great content with us today. We in fact have our HR expert, Mr. Avinash, who's going to speak from his experience point of view on performance management. But as I mentioned, I'm just waiting for a few more people to join. I'd like to know what is it that all of you are going to expect from today's session. So I will leave the chat open to you all. What is it that you are expecting in today's session under performance management is something I would like to hear from all of you. So I will leave the chat open. You can type here. Great. Hope all of you are able to see what I'm typing, and a quick yes or no if you're able to hear me. I hope I'm loud and clear. Okay, great. All right, thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. Yeah, wonderful. All right, as I mentioned, 5 minutes we'll start off, but just want to know from the 53, 54 of them who are here with me today, would like to know what is it that you're expecting from today's session. Okay, good to see some responses already. Mr. Rama says whole process of performance management system. Ms. Poonam says how to ensure feedback is shared with employees by leader and development of discussions that happen. Okay, so Ashwini on metrics. All right, okay. Great to hear that, Ms. Archana. All right, I just want to quickly check if we have Ms. Priyanka What's with us today. Ms. Priyanka, you can just give me a yes or no if you're here. Okay, I'm not sure if she's here. Okay. Right, wonderful. So without any further ado, I'd like to get started with today's session. Once again, very good afternoon to everyone. Hope my voice is loud and clear and we're good to go. Okay, good to see the responses. Thank you so much for the engagement. This is the kind of engagement that we are expecting in today's session. It will be interactive once Mr. Avinash takes over. And any questions, anything that you'd like to ask, please use the Q&A tab or the chat. I will keep a track of it. Wonderful, great to hear, Mr. Praveen. Okay. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. Before we head forward, I would like to introduce myself. I am Siddharth. I handle product marketing at Web Solutions Limited. That is the company I represent. And today, as you all know, the session on our monthly webinar is Mastering Performance Management, which will be taken care by our HR expert, Mr. Avinash Tyagi, as we move forward. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to run you through a quick company presentation, which is about 2 to 3 slides, followed by which I will introduce our speaker and hand it over. Once again, thank you all for your cooperation and patience. So, Web Solutions, we were in fact part of Wipro itself back in 1988. We were primarily manufacturing dot matrix printers back in the days. We were also taking care of peripherals such as toners, cartridges, things as such. And hence the name peripherals, as you can see. But in 2000, the company decided to become independent. And as of today, we are a completely different entity. We are no more associated with Wipro, although we carry the legacy. So that's a quick look onto our company evolution. In fact, we have moved from the printer business. We have a lot more other than printer business as of today. We in fact have presence on the digital end, which I will show you in the coming slides. As you can see, we have presence in over 2,000 locations across India. We have about 500 to 530 customers as of today. Okay, so let me quickly explain to you some of our products that we have lineup. Managed Print Services, which is our signature offering. The company is known for it. And we also have presence on the digital end. As you can see, we have digital transformation solutions. We have GST. I'm sure all of you have heard of the term GST. We have a solution for that. We also have presence on the workflow automation end as well. Aside that, we offer repo printers. We have repo printer portfolio. And we also have presence on the retail side of things. All right, so quick explanation about each of the products that we have to give you an idea of what this is. Managed Print Services, we are in fact known as India's #1 MPS company. Now, what we essentially do here is we offer something called asset management. Now, I'm sure some of you may not be aware of this. Let me break it down for you. What this essentially means is, assume that you have a bunch of printers in your office in different locations. We as a vendor will offer to handle all your printers, while we also be able to add new printers on the go as per your requirement. And we will take care of your toners, cartridges, and every other thing, such as how many papers you print with a remote device management solution. And you might ask me, how exactly am I charged? We charge you on a pay per print basis. Based on the number of prints you take, we will charge on that. And aside this, we also obviously undertake service and support. We have presence in over 2,000 plus locations across India. Moving on to serial number 2, we basically offer Ricoh Japan. Ricoh Japan's portfolio. We have about 10-15 Ricoh printers on our portfolio as well. We are also Ricoh Japan's authorized distributor in India. Moving to the digital transformation side line of things. As I explained earlier, we have a solution for your GST filing, one-stop solution for everything GST that you require, that is filing, reconciliation, data preparation. There are close to 80 plus methodologies of validation built to the platform. We have a module for e-waybill e-invoicing, and we undertake most ERP integrations such as SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, NetSuite, Navision, so on and so forth. Let's move to serial number 4. This is something that I take care of as well. This is the document management solution. While the name suggests, we also have a workflow automation engine built to the platform with which we can offer you business process automation. More on that in the next slide. Yeah. So as I was explaining business process automation, now I do know that we have a mixed, rather diverse, crowd that we have today with us here. I'm sure we have HRs, we also have CEOs, founders, executives from different departments, right? Most likely, I do know that we have HR guys here today. Now, to give you a gist, we offer candidate onboarding automation, something that is taken care of rather than sticking to a traditional format. We also offer employee records management. Aside that, we have automation for procure to pay, management of change. You can store your legal documents and a lot more on offer. Some of our clients, a quick view of our clients. And I will move to the next slide where I also show you some of our core DMS solution clients, the workflow automation end. To give you an instance, we have PhonePe and Flipkart e-commerce giants in Bangalore, based in Bangalore, where they are actually using our employee records automation solution. We have MRF in Chennai who are using a procure to pay solution as well. All right, so that's about it on the company intro end. Thank you so much for your patience. Now, before I actually go ahead and introduce my speaker for the day, I would like to launch a quick poll for all of you to just understand if we have any of them who are actually interested in having a look at our platform solution. Not now, probably a time and a date which is comfortable to you guys. So let me just launch a quick poll for all of you. Let me know if this is visible on your screen. Are you currently exploring employee records management or HR automation solutions for the incoming financial year? Well, essentially, it has started. I will leave this poll on for the next 1 minute. Please note that we can offer you a free demo of our solution based on your availability. And we will also be able to understand what exactly is the challenge that you're facing. Based on that, we will address that on a separate call. Once again, audience, thank you so much for your patience. I would like to again mention if you have any questions or anything that you'd like to ask to me or the speaker, please use the chat or the QA. You should be able to see it on the top of your screen or the bottom. Okay, great. All right. Thank you all for your inputs. I will end this poll in about 5 seconds. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the engagement. Let me go forward. Without any further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker for the day, Mr. Avinash Tyagi. To give you a quick, rather brief introduction about our speaker today, Mr. Avinash Tyagi, who is a HR expert. He brings in over 24 years of experience extending to various formats of HR, that is strategic HR, business restructuring, performance management, global recruitments, and so on and so forth, a lot more on his plate. These are some of his areas of expertise. Mr. Avinash also has held various roles over the years, various managerial and executive roles. To give you a gist, he was the country head HR for Landmark Group and other managerial roles as well in various industries. His experience extends by folds and adds value to those aspiring to make a difference. I take great pleasure in introducing him on our very first exclusive webinar, in fact. So, Mr. Avinash, I'm sure the audience is looking forward to directly hearing from you, sir. I will hand it over to you. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Mr. Siddharth, for introducing me. So I'm really very excited and will be having a very, very wonderful and interactive session with all the participants here. So feel free to ask questions. Possibly, if I can answer in between the slides, I'll answer it. Or
Absolutely.
Otherwise, we'll park the question and then we'll address it on later stage.
Absolutely.
I hope I am very audible to everyone.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. Audience, a quick yes or no in chat would help Mr. Avinash to move forward. Hope his voice is clear. I can hear him clear from my end. Okay, great. Sir, I hope you're able to see the chat.
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, over to you, sir.
Thank you. Right, so we'll start with some of the important codes on the management, and so they are in a way linked to the performance management. So the first very, very basic management saying is whatever gets measured gets done. So this is basic of any performance management. So what I'm saying here is, if I am measuring punctuality of my people and I make sure that, okay, I will be measuring and I will rewarding or punishing them according to the punctuality, then be assured that everybody will be coming on time. On the other hand, if I say that, okay, now I am going to measure how smartly people are dressed in my organization, then be assured that people will focus more on coming well dressed rather than being punctual. So it says that whatever perspective, whatever is important for my organization, based on that, I will decide and I will announce that I'm going to measure these parameters. And when I say that these parameters are going to be measured, people ensure that they follow it. So the basic of performance management is this, right? So this way, this first thing. Second thing is Peter Drucker. They say that he's a father of the management, modern management. He said a very, very important and insightful statement. He said that you can't manage what you can't measure. If I am trying to manage sales, then I need to measure sales. If I'm trying to manage good production, then I need to measure production. Similarly, if I want to measure quality of my, if I want to manage quality of my products, then I need to have some of the measures that ensure that the quality of product is good. So having said that, so we are measuring things and we are announcing that we are going to measure this. So this is the basic of performance management. Now, as we see that some of the athletes, they excel and some of the athletes, they just participate. So the difference between usually the athletes who are winning and the athletes who are possibly not able to win is the efforts they put in. So definitely the winners, they are putting more of the effort, and mediocre people, they possibly put less than uh, limited effort, right? So I appreciate what Habiba Rahman is saying, right? To measure is to treasure, right? So Diana Waring has said this, the difference between mediocrity and excellence is often a matter of effort. So if the organizations are putting efforts, then be assured they will be becoming, they will start their journey from good to great. So similarly, organizations who are putting efforts, then they will move from being mediocre organization to the excellent organization. So these are what important quotes we should always keep in our perspective when we are deciding or discussing or thinking about performance management. Now let's see what are the uses of performance management. Now, traditionally, performance management is being used to drive organizational performance linked to business strategy. It is very difficult in modern era to have a strategy and not to implement it. How do I implement my strategy? So when I am implementing strategy, I need to measure that as well. So performance management is a very, very important tool which is going to help and which will be linked to business strategy. I cannot have a performance management that is not linked to my business strategy. For example, I say that, okay, I am in production of quality products or in garments, but I am measuring my people on their on the way they speak, or possibly on the way they dress, or all the other aspect except for the production of the garments. So I cannot have a performance measurement of communication skill in a production setup where possibly the use of communication skill is limited. I'm not saying that, okay, we will not be having any communication skills for the people who are in production. Similarly, for example, if I have people who are attending a lounge or possibly consider a Taj hotel, and everybody in the reception, people in the reception, I want to measure how customer friendly they are. I cannot measure their attentiveness or their customer facing skills by measuring them on their Excel skills or and understanding measuring their mathematical skills, etc. So I have to link the business strategy with the performance. Second thing is the use of performance management is to develop individual skills and capabilities. This is here where I feel that most of the organization they fail. They consider the performance management process as a process of doing postmortem. So the focus is on analyzing and nitpicking or finding out what didn't went right, what went wrong. So it is like the patient is already dead and you are doing postmortem. It is not going to be very helpful for the organization unless and until you use this knowledge or you use this analysis to develop your people. So the performance management must be definitely linked to the capabilities, developing capabilities of our people. It should be also used to reward employees fairly. When I say that, okay, they say there is an old saying that, okay, I need to differentiate between my horses and my donkeys, if I can use that word. So, and I have to give a reward to my people who deserve it. It should not happen that all the rewards goes to the people who are not performing, and whereas I'm not able to reward suitably to the people who are real performers. Right? Now, having said that, the importance of, we established what is the importance of performance management, but let's see what is the current scenario, what is current status, what different people are saying in different surveys. So there was a survey done by Deloitte. It says that 58% of executives questioned in the survey believe that current performance management approach drives neither employee engagement nor high performance. So 50% of the executives, they are thinking that the purpose of performance management is not what it is supposed to be. It is supposed to be having more employee engaged and driving high performance, but that's not happening. Similarly, in other survey, 80% of large American companies want to change the performance measurement system. So they are thinking that, okay, whatever performance measurement system they're using, it is possibly not impactful or is not creating the right value for the organization. There was a survey by HBR. It says that 95% of senior executives believed that organization strategic objectives were not being met. So, and they are saying that there is need for more effective performance management tool. So we have understood what is the requirement of performance management. We have also understood what is current status. Let's try to find out what is the reason why the performance management is failing or possibly is not delivering the expected value it should deliver. Next slide, please. So I will start in a very funny way. Here we can see in the cartoon. So the manager is asking, and see what is the answer of the employee. So usually the employees, they feel that, okay, the appraisal is very easy thing to be done, and it is possibly useless thing, or it doesn't require any effort from the management. So this is employees' perspective. Employees see that, okay, the management, they want to have fun, or possibly it is not a difficult thing to do, as depicted in the cartoon. Whereas the average manager spent close to 5 weeks doing annual appraisals. So annual appraisal is a big thing, and possibly managers, they find the whole process very, very stressful. So why they find it very stressful, that we'll see on the later slides. It is said that in many of the organization, annual appraisal is just like a routine. It is just like considered to be annual health checkup. Many times annual health checkup is people dread to go for annual health checkup. They don't try to derive maximum benefit out of it, because they feel that nothing is going to happen and all my reports are going to be usually normal, or they don't trust their the medical fraternity. They feel that, okay, when I go to the doctor is going to tell me 10 different diseases which possibly I may not have. So there is a lack of trust on the annual health checkup possibly in many of the people. Similarly, the same thing is applicable for annual appraisal. And other thing is, annual appraisal, because it is done on annually, so there is a huge gap between gap period of 1 year. And what happens, what do we do if we decide to go doctor only once in a year, and we don't go when the need arises, or maybe in urgent situation? So we have to understand that performance management, if we do consider it as an annual routine, it is going to fail us. It is not going to deliver the requested value, what it is supposed to deliver. I hope I am able to bring points very clear to you. Okay.
Yeah, audience, I know that you would not be able to respond back, but whenever possible, I think, yeah, that'll do it. I hope that suffices, Mr. Avinash. We have people constantly responding in the chat. So,
Thank you so much. Yeah, so we'll go to the next slide,
yeah,
please.
sure.
Now let's see what are the determinants of performance. How do the performance of a person will come out, right? It will depend on three aspects. Declarative knowledge. So a person, for example, if he has to perform better, he must have declarative knowledge of the work or task assigned to him. Declarative knowledge means he should understand what are the facts, what are the principles, what are the goals of the task or assignment given to the person. So whenever I'm doing a work, I should have the background knowledge of it. Why I'm doing it? What is the purpose of doing it? What are the principles behind of doing a particular thing in a particular way? What are my goals? What are going to be the end result of what I'm doing? So that should be very, very clear in my mind. If that is not clear, then possibly my performance will not come up. If I can link it to the cricket, for example, if the bowler doesn't know why he has to throw the ball at a particular speed or at a particular place, he possibly will be just coming and running and just throwing the ball here and there. So the person should know exactly what is the purpose of throwing a ball in a particular way. By throwing this ball in this way and how he can throw it, he should know the technical skills, procedural knowledge also, how he can throw it, what are the physical skills required, and what are the ways he has to throw the ball. That should be very, very clear. So a person should have declarative knowledge as well as procedural knowledge. In procedural knowledge, in many of the modern environment we work in, there's other important aspect. That other important aspect is interpersonal skills. So I should definitely know how to manage my interpersonal skills if I need to perform better or perform to a certain level. So suppose I have declarative knowledge as well as I have got procedural knowledge also. Do you think that this is sufficient for me to perform to highest standard? Possibly no. Possibly I may be a person, no, I may be a horse who is willing, who can run well and who is trained well and who has got all physical attributes, as possibly he has got good relation with his jockey, but possibly is not motivated enough today. Possibly he doesn't choose to perform, possibly doesn't want to perform. So a motivation is important aspect. In motivation, we will say that, okay, there are three things we will look into. Motivation, the person should have choice to perform. If I'm in a particular job, if I'm an accountant, I should not be cribbing every day that, oh my God, I'm accountant and I have to do this again, number crunching. I hate it. I hate to use Excel skill. I hate to use the SAP and different things. So this will be reflecting on my performance. If I'm an artist, they say that, okay, you cannot be a good artist if you don't enjoy doing it. A person should have a good motivation, then a person will be able to perform. Second is definitely the performance is also related to level of effort. As we were saying the earlier quotation, the difference between mediocrity and excellence is the level of effort a person puts in. Here, the level of effort put in by my worker or myself is direct proportional to performance or the output which will come out. Second is persistence effort. It doesn't mean that, okay, I can be, one day I decide that, okay, today I'm going to work very hard, and one day I work, and then by the end of the day, I am steamed out and I feel that, okay, this is enough. My quota for one week or 1 month is over and I can no longer work. So I need to work day in and day out. Persistence effort has to be there. It should not be flash in the pan. This is where many of the workers or many of us, including me, we fail. Our motivation is there, but our motivation is usually short-lived. It is maybe the day before the performance appraisal, or the day before salary, or the day after salary, or it is short-lived, right? So again, to recap, performance, it has to have declarative knowledge, procedural knowledge, as well as motivation. These three, when they combine together, it will lead to a good performance. So why we are discussing this? Because when we are managing people, we will know, and then possibly we will understand that, okay, these are going to be impact. So now we'll have a small poll.
Thank you, sir. So, audience, I will be launching multiple goals as the session goes forward. Here's the first one on performance management. Now, they might be in the lines of slides or they might not, but everything will revolve around the topic. So, in your opinion, what is the description of performance management according to you? Let me leave this on for the next 1 minute, and I request as much as engagement as we can over here. Followed by which we will have Mr. Avinash explaining or showing his point of view on this. Okay, so we have about 19 people on evaluation of the employees already. That is chart topic. Okay. 24 people have responded. Okay, 30. All right. Let's see if we can have 50 people respond to this. Audience, we have about 65 people with us today, which is not bad at all. There are 35 who responded. Okay, Mr. Suresh, I would request you to copy paste exactly what you typed and put it on Q&A, sir. That will be of help so that I can keep track of your question. We will take it up.
Wonderful, good responses.
Absolutely. So we have 40 people who responded. Okay, another 10 seconds and then I will end this poll. Not bad. Okay. I was hoping for 50, but I'm not going to complain of 40.
Yes. So let's not have metrics on performance.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just sharing the results so that the audience can see it. Okay. So, Mr. Avinash, would you like to comment on this?
Yes, wonderful. So the evaluation of employees, most of the participant of the people who have taken a poll, they feel that evaluation of employees is the possible description of performance management. I will not say they are wrong, but possibly this is possibly where this is the trap actually. We all are, our mind is accustomed as a manager, we feel that, okay, now performance management is a time where I'm going to evaluate it. Rather, if I turn it other way, if I say that, okay, I will use it to motivate my people, I will use it for promotion of identifying people whom I can promote, or whom I can use this to make sure that my people are more job satisfaction at work. So that's going to be more helpful. So here what I'm trying to say is, I'm not saying that no, whoever said that, okay, evaluation of employee is wrong. No, that is given because we had been taught the basic knowledge, the traditional knowledge of management is saying that, okay, definitely performance management means we evaluate our people, how they have done. That is one part of it. But the real purpose of it is basically, if I link it to motivating my people, motivating to, or ensuring they are more certified at job, or finding out who are the people whom I can promote better, that will be more helpful. I hope I'm able to make some sense here.
Absolutely, sir. So I'll stop sharing this now.
Yes, please.
Then go forward the slides. Yeah.
Now let's see what are the different approaches to measure performance. Right. So the approaches possibly would be trait approach, behavior approach, or end result approach. So I can measure performance based on, for example, traits of employee. Now I will take example of my store, or possibly people in my store or shop. So yeah, you are correct, Ms. Archana, right? Definitely that all four options are correct. So I'm not saying anybody was wrong, possibly. So
Right.
actually all of four options are correct. Now coming back to approaches of measurement, measuring performance. So we assess, in case of trait approach, what we do is we try to assess the trait of employee. For example, if I have to find out which of my accountant in my organization is the best accountant, or whose performance is best, what I will do is I'm going to give them test on accountancy, and the person who scores highest, then I feel that, okay, this guy is the most skilled guy in my accountancy, and that's why therefore he is the best accountant. So this is what trait approach says. Similarly, I was giving example of shop. In my store, possibly I feel that, okay, in my shopping mall, I have a shop, and then I feel that, okay, communication or the way people speak to my customers is the most important thing. So I will just evaluate my all employees. I will call one by one, and then assess how they are speaking, their ability to communicate, their communication skill. So based on the communication skill, and I determine then, okay, the performance of this employee is good or that employee is bad. So here we are thinking only about a particular trait or particular way, a particular capability of an employee. Whereas there is another approach which is used to measure performance. So this approach is, we call it behavior or activity approach. Here what we do is we measure what the other activity is done by the employee. Again, relating to the sales here, sales. Here, in case of sales, possibly, I will again say that, okay, I will measure that how many customers are being approached by my salespeople. So I will say that, okay, my salesman, that salesman is the best performer who is approaching the maximum customers. Or for example, if somebody is in marketing and he need to meet a lot of, or he's in channel sales. So if he's meeting 100 customers, so I'm going to evaluate that person as a better performance than a person who is meeting only 50 clients. So here again, I am not considering the skills of a employee. I'm not considering what trait they have and what is the end result. So I'm not considering either of this. I'm just saying what are the activities done by the employee. So here it is very, very process oriented. Now, in case of result approach, it is saying that, okay, the bottom line is what matters, the end result is that's what matters. And usually many people say that by hook and crook, I want the result. So nothing, they will not listen to employee. They say that, okay, do whatever you may, but give me results. In this case, what's happening is people will just focus on getting the desired result or achieving the goals, whatever way they can use. So here again, we can say that, okay, the trait approach, if I just use a trait approach, it's not sufficient. If I just use process oriented approach where I measure how people are doing things, but I don't measure the end result, it is not impactful. So it's just like saying that, okay, operation successful, patient dead. So if I just check that, okay, how the person has performed the operation, but the end result is that the patient unfortunately has died, it is not the right. So the best approach is possibly you have to combine all these three. So that's what I was coming to. So I cannot utilize only one or two approach. So I have to make a mix and match, and I have to use all these things: trait, behavior, as well as result. Next slide, please. Now let's see how we start doing the performance planning, the performance management process. The first thing is the beginning of performance management is like, as they say, management. First, you start with planning. First, I need to plan about my performance. What performance I need to deliver? What are the goals? What are the objectives? And why I will set the particular objectives? That's how I will do it. And then the next step is, then I will analyze the performance of my people. So first we plan what has to be done and why it has to be done. Definitely it has to be linked to my strategy objective, right? Individual performance planning has to be linked to the strategic objective of the organization. So strategy objective organization, for example, is to expand in a particular market. So I'm going to give the performance, I'm going to link the performance of expansion. For HR, I will say that you have to recruit more people because we are expanding a new market. So you have to recruit more people for the newer market. Similarly, if I'm going to give you finance, for example, in case of marketing. So but the strategy of the organization is to expand a new market. The marketing, then I will say that, okay, you have to find out a new market area, new territories where the organization can expand. So this way, possibly, based on that, I am delivering target based on the strategy, right? I hope I'm able to clarify the doubts. So for the marketing department, the target is that, okay, now we have to expand in three different zones. Then based on that, then possibly the targets will be further divided into the zones. Right, then northern, or possibly north zone manager will have or zonal manager or zonal marketing manager will be given target to expand maybe in 2 districts or 2 states, whereas then individually he will break down it to possibly into the individual level. So similarly, by linking strategic performance, the strategy of organization, we link and we plan on the individual performance. After that, we come to performance analysis. Performance analysis, then we check possibly, then it is also performance appraisal. Possibly then we will say that, okay, yes, now let's see, we have planned, we have given the goal to our people. Now let's analyze whether they are there or not. After that, I link that appraisal to the reward, and possibly then I do the feedback and do the counseling. Possibly, so on this I have included a very interesting slide. So McKinsey's 9-box matrix is used actually, where we can utilize performance management for giving feedback, counseling, planning the succession, and lot other things. So basically, first we plan, then we do appraisal, then we'll link it to some reward, and after that possibly we'll see that how this performance management process or all this exercise is used to develop our people by providing feedback and counseling. Next slide, please. So this is a traditional way. So the slide, for example, for some reason has cut down. So the first is like we plan what has to be done, and then it is supervisor who usually is responsible for direct or to appraising the people. So they say that the best person to appraise is the person who is directly supervising people, right? So here the employee is involved in setting up the goals, right? But appraisal is done by the supervisor, and it is reviewed by the manager. There must be always one layer of checkup, so that it should not be like that. Okay, employee is totally on mercy of one person's whims and fancies. So supervisor definitely does the performance review, but it has to be reviewed by the manager. So done by maker and checker, possibly, as we say loosely. So supervisor does the performance review, and possibly after that it is checked by the manager. He confirms, and possibly it is also responsible for the manager to coach the supervisor on best practice. If you feel that possibly the supervisor is not doing proper performance appraisal, maybe it's not fair, or maybe it's too loose, or maybe it's too strict, whatever could be the condition, or he's not driving the people to better performance, so it's not happening, then manager should jump in. So this is how the flow of performance appraisal usually happens in organizations. Next question, please. Next syllabus. Now, as we see in this here in the cartoon, I'm trying to depict that, okay, it is challenge for a person to complete the process, because there are various people, various forces, various factors who are there to beat you up, who are there to pinpoint, who are not different forces acting in different directions. So as a manager, you are accountable for ensuring your employees produce result that is aligned to organizational need. It is your responsibility. Similarly, you are also responsible for engage, motivate, and develop your people, right? And then, so you need to motivate your people, you need to engage your people, you need to develop your people, and you need to ensure that people are bringing in the substantial result on the table. So it is a difficult life for a manager. So therefore, and also when you are there are conflicting pressure, right? So in the conflicted pressure, possibly there is conflicting pressure from different people, different areas, different management want to say something, and possibly the employee, they want to say something, right? So there are different goals to set, and how much goal to set, what to set. So these are the manager's dilemma. Sorry, I missed, there was a question actually. Okay, so we will take on the question, maybe possibly later.
Yeah, for sure.
My apologies. Possibly sometime I'm missing the question because they're appearing for a very short period of time.
So the questions we can take up as we close the session.
Sure.
Then, so audience, I request all of you to be a little patient. we will have a dedicated question answer round. In fact, I will also be able to get you guys to talk directly to our speaker if you'd like to. So just bear on that part. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, next slide, please. Now we'll discuss the various small things, small but very, very important things we should always keep in mind while setting the goals. The first important thing is the principle of SMART. So we should always have a SMART goals, right? Possibly most of you have already heard about it. So the goals which I'm giving to my people, they should be specific, they should be measurable, they should be attainable or achievable, and relatable or relevant, and time bound. So if I'm saying that, okay, I cannot say set up a goal to my people that, okay, you have to increase the sale or you have to recruit people. Rather, I have to say that, okay, you have to recruit minimum 100 people in next 1 year. All right. So that is how I am saying that I'm giving the goals which are very, very specific. Or rather, I will say that, okay, you have to ensure that your sales are from 1 lakh per month. It goes to maybe 1,20,000 per month from next year. This is how it has to be increased. So appraisal percentage, you are saying about the rating. So there, okay, so whatever I'm trying to, I'm getting understanding, so I will try to explain that also. Yeah. Increment percentage possibly what we'll discuss at the end of it, because increment percentage will not only depend on your only one parameter or your performance, it will also depend on what is the parity, where do you stand on the pay range, what is your seniority, what are the options available, are you getting promotion or not. So there is one factor does not usually decide the increment percentage. Right, coming back to SMART goal. So I'm trying to put a specific goals. Second goal is the goals has to be measurable, right? I cannot just give any goals. I cannot give a irrelevant goal. The goal has to be relevant. For example, to a person who is into sales or selling pharma goods, I cannot measure him on Excel skills. So it will be useless if I say that, okay, now I'm going to test you on your Excel skills, because sometimes you have to calculate, use Excel to produce a report. Rather, I should be measuring the performance of the sales rep in pharmaceutical industry on various aspects where possibly I can give what is his target, or product wise or the segment wise, what he has achieved, what was his target last year, and how much he has achieved today. So similarly, the goal has to be smart enough, realistic also. Realistic is what we will cover maybe in the next slide also. The goal has to be relevant and time bound. I cannot just give a goal and don't measure it after a certain period of time. So the people will always say, sir, you never told me that, okay, it has to be done in 6 months. I thought it has to be completed in 1 year. So on and so forth. So when I am preparing goals, it has to be very, very crystal clear, very, very specific, measurable, attainable, and relevant, and time bound. So the statement has to be unambiguous. There has to be no ambiguity when I am saying that, okay, these are the goals of my people, or this is what you need to achieve in the next financial year or next 3 months, whatever it is. And how do I get, what are the sources of goal? Definitely the goals of the people which I'm setting will be based on the organization goal, division or department plan and strategies, as we discussed earlier. Goals from previous performance review and feedback discussion must be also included. So it should be continuation of the discussion we had the previous year. Or for example, if the person is a fresher, a person has joined new. So how do I decide his goal? So possibly I will say that, okay, either I will use the colleagues who are in similar position, what they are doing. So possibly I will use that as a benchmark and give goals to my people. Or possibly if the person is filling shoes of somebody who has left, then I will check what was the person who resigned or who has left the organization, what was his goal. So the continuity goals is usually helpful for the organization. Now, when I'm putting goals for my people, then I'm thinking, where are the which are the things where this person, my employee, spend most of time, and where he can make the biggest impact. So as we were discussing earlier, the example of sales representative in pharmaceutical industry, possibly I definitely should rate him on the sales output more, right? I'm not saying that only sales output or the top line is what we should measure. There are other measures also, but the major impact, the major share, launch share of this is goals should be from sales. And then definitely I can refer the job description and find out what does the job description says. I will also align the personal interest with organizational goal. So this we'll discuss for me in the next slide. Next slide, please.
Yeah. So, sir, if you wouldn't mind, I'll just launch a quick poll for the audience here. Okay, so
Yes.
yeah, audience, I would request all of you to quickly look at the chat. Now, I'm going to redirect all of you to our LinkedIn profile. We have a quick poll for all of you there. I would like to launch that right now. So I hope you're able to see the link on your chat. Request all of you to spend about 10 seconds to quickly go to this link and enter whatever is relevant according to you. I will just read out the question for you. The question says, I'm able to perform my tasks better after the performance appraisal cycle. So there are going to be 4 options for you. That is strongly agree, neutral, disagree, and others. If you think there's anything else, please mention on the comments. And now this is actually a LinkedIn handle on LinkedIn. So request all of you to spend about 10 to 20 seconds. Quickly go there, enter your response, and come back to the window. Thank you. And I did see a lot of questions so far. We will take this up. I think I requested some of them to try and copy paste your question on Q&A. But nevertheless, we will take up these questions as the session proceeds. Okay, audience, I hope you're able to go to the link. Okay, great. I think I already got about 13 votes on that page. Wonderful. Okay. Let me know once you're all done. We can resume back the session. Okay, thank you, Ms. Rupali. Yeah, I didn't see your response. Okay, I think we're good. All right. Handing it back to Mr. Avinash. Yeah, sir. Go ahead. I just go to the next slide.
Yeah, thank you. So now we understood now that the goals has to be smart. Now the question is like, how many goals I do I give? So there is a tendency that, okay, I want to cover this and that, and I don't want to leave anything to chance. So that there is a 100% coverage of whatever a person has to be done. But they say that, okay, when we have too many KPIs, then KPIs are the goals possibly, and then it is not of, and they are not important, then possibly it will take out the focus. Many times what happens is organizations usually, when they are into giving too many goals to the people, the challenge here is the people, instead of focusing on their real job, they are focusing more on delivering on their KPIs. So everybody knows that, okay, my promotion or my increment possibly is dependent on what is going to be my score, what is going to be how is my performance appraisal is going to be. So because of that, they forget everything and they just focus on completing or chasing their goals. Right? Because of everybody is chasing their goals, it leads to confusion, frustration, and blame game. So I remember an organization where I was doing consultancy of performance management. So in that organization, the challenge was there that, okay, they had a point system. If you do the particular task, then you will get the point. And at the end of the year, the points are converted into money or the incentive. So everybody, right, irrespective of whatever department they were just chasing these points. So they will do particular things so that they can accumulate the point. It was like we said, using the computer games, we are collecting the points. In that case, so there was a lot of blame game. So people became very, very self-centered. There were hardly any team spirit. People are trying to pull each other's leg because they usually have the goals which were everybody wanted to go. It was more of a, they say, typical rat race. Everybody was crazy. They were just following in collecting points. So then I suggested that, okay, having too many goals and possibly then challenging people only to collect points is not the right way to drive the performance. So you should have some limited goals, definitely critical goals, and then let the people follow those critical goals. And other things definitely they will do, but they will not be under, they should not come under performance appraisal, right? So study done by Intel, Andy Grove from Intel, he made a very, very important statement. He said that a few extremely well chosen objectives impart a clear message about what we wish to achieve. So we will choose few objectives which will send a very, very clear message and it will set the ball rolling. So instead of going around and just making people confused by providing them multiple KPIs. I have seen certain managers, they were giving maybe 15, 20 KPIs to pay people. So that was creating a lot of stress as well as they were losing the focus. Next slide, please. Now, when I was saying about SMART goals, so we are saying that about realistic goal. The goal has to be realistic. Now, there's a concept of stretch goal. Now, everybody want to have a simple goal so that people achieve it, right? So it is tendency, if you are a manager or possibly a weak manager, then you say that, okay, better to please my people by giving them simple goals. But there is challenge. It will not be possibly mentally stimulating. It will lead to mediocrity. For example, to all the participants, if I say that, okay, now tell me how much is 2 plus 2, or the task given to you is add 11 plus 11 or multiply 2 with 5. So if I am giving such task to you, possibly then you feel that, okay, it is not challenging, it is not mentally stimulating, and then you may lose interest possibly. And this over a period of time, if I give my people the task which is very, very simple to do, possibly they lose interest. Number two, they feel that, okay, the manager doesn't find me intelligent enough or talented enough. That's why he's giving me useless jobs, right? And therefore it will lead to mediocrity. On the other hand, if I give a very, very difficult task, the tasks which are very, very difficult to achieve, so it will lead to frustration because people feel that, okay, now the manager doesn't want me to achieve, he wants to be partial, possibly the manager is giving easy or the achievable task to his favorite people and he's giving tough tasks to me only, so it will lead to frustration. People will get frustrated, but many times people, what they do is they try to use unethical means to achieve this target. They know that by ethical means, so by ethical means, I cannot achieve this target. So we will be using unethical means. So in case stretch goals will create energy and momentum, we remember what we want to do is we want our people to stretch. We don't want our people to break, right? So we want to overburden them so that they break mentally and physically. So the target which I am giving is stretch target. So the question is, how do I decide which target is a stretch target? So I will take a simple example. A simple example is, okay, so let me take it from a sales point of view. A person has achieved 1 lakh rupees of sales last year, right? If I give him 1,05,000, or if I give him 1 lakh or maybe 2 lakh as a sales target, considering that there is no change in the market condition. So if I give 1,05,000 or if I give 90,000 or less than what he has achieved, possibly it will lead to mediocrity. Right? If I give the double the target where he feels that, okay, last year I was able to achieve only 1 lakh and this year my manager is going to give me 2 lakh. So that then also it doesn't fit the bill. So what I will do is possibly I will say that I will 10%, 15% I will stretch. What I will do is I will give him a target of maybe 1,15,000, or possibly if I'm very ambitious, if I want my company to grow by 20%, I will give him 1,20,000 and possibly as annual target. But possibly what I will do is I will do course correction. I will do mid-year review or quarterly review. And if I find that the person is not able to achieve, and it is really, really very, very difficult target. So I want my people to achieve, right? So possibly then I will, instead of 1,20,000, I will bring down maybe to 1,15,000 or 1,10,000. So last year achievement is 1 lakh. So I don't give 2 lakh rupees as a target. Neither I give 1 lakh or 1,05,000 or 1,02,000. I give maybe 1,20,000 or 1,10,000. It depends on the, if you're very ambitious, you want, what is the strategy of the organization, how much you want to grow. So this is, I hope I am able to clarify. So what is meaning of the stretch goals? So stretch goals is very tricky. It is, you have to balance the challenges. I cannot make it very easy, or neither I can make it very, very difficult. Next slide, please. Now, we were discussing about annual target, right? And remember, we linked annual target to annual checkup. Now, this is the VUCA world. It's very volatile, ambiguous, and complex, right? And full of ambiguity. The world is VUCA world, we call it. In this VUCA world, 1 year is a very long time period. Organizations are becoming very, very agile, right? So I cannot wait for 1 year. Possibly the market condition might have changed during the 1 year. So what I will do is, possibly I will break it into shorter periods. So this is already being done by various organizations. The Gap, the retailer, they have already begun giving quarterly targets to the people. They no longer do annual appraisal, they do quarterly appraisals. Similarly, GE is also moving to short-term priorities. So short-term priorities is what is more relevant in the today's world. Right. Yes, thanks, Rupali. Now, in case of collaborative goal setting, so it is during my tenure earlier, and whenever I'm in performance consultancy, the feedback I get from people is that if it is not their performance objective, they're not bothered. So many of the people, as I was giving example of earlier organization, where everybody was chasing on their performance objective or KPIs. So people have this tendency that if it is not relevant for them, they will not work on that. So this make me, this it is important for you to get their buy-in. So you need to discuss with your people, what are the things possibly which you and your employee can sit and take it as their goals, right? So you need to include the workplace objective definitely only on this goal. Now there is an example here. So for example, a person may be having a certain personal objective and it may not gel well with the organization objective. A software developer will have a hobby, like he's a stand-up comedian. He loves to do stand-up comedy, but he's a software developer. So as a manager, I cannot make him do stand-up comedy every day, right? But I know that this is a hobby of this person. Is a stand-up comedian. So what I do, then I understand that, okay, this person, this friend of mine, he loves the speaking opportunity. He loves to speak. He loves to expose himself to people, and he loves to grab attention, and he loves to have the mic. So whenever there is a speaking opportunity in my organization, then I will hand over this opportunity to this person. It could be giving a sales presentation to my client. So I will utilize my this person for this. So now we'll have a small goal again.
Sir, not yet. I mean, you can run through the slides. I'll launch it.
Okay, fine. So let's go to next slide, please. Right. So the collaboration is a way. So by collaboration, we collaborate, we determine in advance what are going to be the goals, and how, once we determine the goals, then we find out, we not only just say that, okay, hey, you have to do these 3 things, but you have to collaborate, you have to find out, you have to see that how my people are going to achieve this goal. So when I'm giving work to my craftsman, I'm ensuring that I am giving them necessary tools, right? So I give them necessary tools. Also, I make a timeline so that I will review them against the timeline. So definitely Gantt chart is a very, very good example. By help of Gantt chart, I will break up the big task into uh, small tasks, small goals, and then possibly based on that, I will monitor my people, right? Based on that, I will also find out what the tools required, whether the whether we require help from the other employee or not. So Pankita is asking what kind of collaboration need for employees. So certain tasks will require the collaboration from other department, or collaborating from the employee who is from other department which is not his domain. For example, I say that okay, my HR executive, your job is to create a engaging environment in my condition, my organization, and you need to launch lot of engagement activities. So this is the task given to the executive. His job is to create engagement in the organization, but possibly he will require help from the somebody, possibly from my graphic design department or marketing department, to design flyers, to design logos, or to design posters. Possibly he will require the help from my logistic team to to move the speakers, or to arrange the stage. So he will require a lot of things from different departments, and possibly when my employee, the HR executive, speak to them, they may not help them. So as a manager, I need to come in front and I need to arrange these people to help my employee to achieve his target. His goal is to engage people. So for engaging people, he possibly will require graphic designer. He will require arrangement of mic, movement of stage, directing stages. So he will require people from different department coming together to achieve this goal. So it is my responsibility as a manager to ensure that these people are available to collaborate and help this person. I hope this answered your question. So after this, we gather resources, and then after this, the other important thing is we have to clearly set the behavioral expectation. So what are the behavior expected by the team members? Team members, team members should not be definitely doing it in a way. Yes, Rahul, very good said. So inter-team collaboration. So it's a responsibility of the manager to arrange this collaboration. Now, having said that, in collaboration, I need to set clear behavioral expectation among my team. Okay, I can definitely say that, okay, some difference in opinion is acceptable, but fighting aloud and shouting at each other, abusing each other, using bad word, or in worst cases, fighting or punching each other is definitely not expected, and is not acceptable, right? So I set up the standards. I make the stage clear, tell what has to be done on the stage. I give the tools to my people, and I tell them this are the expectations from you, and create the right environment, and say to my people, now the stage is yours, please perform. Next slide, please. Now the challenges in performance management. So I request you to have a look at this typical cartoon. So sounds familiar? So as a manager, I should not be giving unclear direction, micromanaging, and having erratic and be unrealistic, right? It is there. I had a question in the query sent earlier that, okay, many times performance appraisal is the managers are partial, right? They set unrealistic expectation, and they expect people like here the cock to lay egg every day. So the many time expectations are not real, and worst come worst, possibly they will the employee will be still appreciating if as a manager you are at least sympathetic. or at least you lend the ear to them. So at least you are standing with them in the challenging condition. But many times what happen is the managers, they send the soldiers on the front and they are behind, far behind from the firing line. So they don't face the heat. So for facing the heat, you have the people, your people, and you are just commanding from backside and barking at them, shouting at them. So that doesn't work. So whenever I'm doing performance management, it has to formal, informal mix. Sometimes I have to show the human side of myself and speak to my people, be nice to them, identify what are the causes which is leading to non-performance. It could be my person may be deficient in the skill. He may not be having the required skill. So that is, as a manager, it is my duty to ensure that my people are properly trained, they are skilled, and then they are going to that particular task and then they are delivering. Right? Many times there is poor time management or poor work habit. We find that many of the managers at the last moment they deliver a task, right? So possibly maybe by 5:30, 6 o'clock is the end of your time, work timing. Your shift ends at 6 p.m. 5:30, your boss will say that, okay, hello, I need you to finish by end of the day, right? So in this case, you see that manager is doing nothing for possibly for the whole of the day. Possibly he was sitting quiet and you observe him going in and out and maybe chatting and gossiping or laughing in his cabin. And at 5:30, he calls his people and say that, okay, you have to finish this task by end of the day. Now, what's going to happen? The people definitely will feel demotivated, right? And this will create a culture. So this culture is challenge. This culture will lead to possibly poor performance. Conflict with other employees definitely will lead to poor performance management, bad process. Many times there is multiple approval required for possibly, so you have to arrange cake for your birthday celebration in your office. And after that, possibly then you have to take approval from finance, you have to take approval from operation, then you have to take approval from this department, that department. So you have to take 5 approvals to arrange a cake. So in this case, possibly because of that, they will be challenged. The people will definitely feel that the performance will not be up to this mark. Other thing is work overload and other inequities definitely will lead to other challenges in the performance management. Next slide, please. Yeah, I understand that. My challenge with me is that I cannot just make, because the topic is so vast, possibly it is very challenging for me to conclude it. But I will try to. I'm already shortening it, so I'm trying to shorten it as much as possible without compromising on the content. Right now, the other challenge here is how to provide feedback. Now we see the cartoon here, the typical, we say that, okay, the boss, if he doesn't like, he shoots my way or highway. If I don't like you, then I'm ensuring that you don't no longer exist in my organization. So this is not a right way of evaluating people. So evaluation should not cause people to take, no, they should not prompt people to take the next step. The next step is exiting the organization. It should not happen. Many times, many of the people, they disconnect with their management. They have the disconnect with their organization because the way they were treated during the performance appraisal. Many times the manager, they don't realize, but the way they start doing nitpicking and they find fault and they criticize and they run down on the employee feels so bad, they think like just quitting, right? So what as a manager we should do? Number one, we should be in supportive role. Ask your employee. So you have to ask your employee how they can address the problem, right? So first you ask them what is the challenge they are facing, then ask them themselves how they are going to solve this. So try to get the input from the employee and then offer your suggestion. So you are in a coaching role. You should not be asking why you didn't do this, why that went wrong, and why you were sleeping at that point of time. So the more why you are doing is you are definitely intimidating your people, right? So next time if you're intimidating your people, they will not come to you. Next slide, please.
Sir, let me just launch one poll. I feel I have one that might be in line with this.
Sure,
So
please.
let me quickly launch and then we can get back to the
Sure.
slides. So audience, I hope you're able to see this on your screen. Do you receive constructive criticism in a friendly and positive manner during the course of performance? Right. Keep this on for the next 1 minute, followed by which you can get the next slides. And I do have a set of polls, a few more polls as the session goes forward. And audience, request you all to wait for the Q&A session as well. We will have some interaction on the tent, and as I mentioned, if anyone would like to directly interact with Mr. Avinash, I'll be able to do that as well. Okay, everyone will be responding.
Nice. So to the people who are saying yes, that you are getting constructive criticism in a friendly way, so I say you are in a good company. Well done, congratulations. Right. Yeah, so this is a good way. So that means you are being the performance appraisal possibly in an organization is done in a nice way. This is the right way to be, that's to be done.
So, okay, I'll stop sharing and sir, you can take the
Yes.
next slide.
Next, please. Yeah. Right. So again, as I was continuing with the next previous slide, rudeness at work costs organization dearly and is very, very infectious. So according to a study done, so they say that more than one third of people will deliberately reduce quality of their work. Half of the employee who had experienced uncivil behavior at work intentionally decrease their effort. So if the employee, they are not treated very well, they're likely to intentionally decrease their effort, right? 2/3 of the people, they said that they will avoid spending time with the offender. So that means a boss is abusive, is like possibly having uncivil behavior, then they will not approach, they will avoid this type of boss. So definitely when I am keeping to keep my employee motivated with during performance appraisal or performance review, I will model good behavior. I will definitely and 100% respect my employee dignity and provide autonomy to my people. So autonomy is a concept where you don't micromanage. You show them that okay, this has to be done, and small things you don't interfere for, and then you give them a relative freedom for people to take charge of their own goals. Next slide, please. Now, how you are going to manage people who are good performers? So usually it is said the manager will usually watch your career development retention to performers. They think that okay, these guys, they are already doing wonderful. So these people are excellent in the job. That means they must be very, very happy. So the manager has this false sense of security or false sense of uh, carelessness, thinking that okay, the people who are good performers, they don't need any attention from my side. So and they don't need anything because in any case, if they were not happy, they will not perform well. So this is wrong. Many times people who are good performer, they also need constant appreciation and encouragement, right? So that means you need to always pat the back of the people who are doing good job. In this case, also how you'll find out similarly that performance appraisal will help you in finding out the people how to whether they are ready to promotion or not. How you'll find out whether people are ready to get promoted or not. Number one, you will see that whatever they're doing, they are absolutely consistent. Everything is running smoothly. They will find problem and they will solve the problem quickly. They will try to rather go to other colleagues and solve their problem as well. And one very important thing you will find out that many people, they who are good performer, although they will perform very well, they will be very, very increasingly getting negative. They will be increasingly negative. Although they are performing very well, but somehow because nobody is listening or people are ignoring them, they will having slightly negative feeling. Next slide, please. Now we'll see how we'll address poor performers, C players. C players are the people who are poor performers, and usually if I don't address my poor performers, so they will stand in the way of talent employee. They will create environment where there's a mentality of low performance, and people feel that okay, mediocrity is a way of life. So how do I deal? So I have to call spade a spade. I should definitely engage them and request them and tell them that okay, this is not acceptable. And definitely when I am doing performance appraisal for my team members, I will do the performance appraisal for my poor performers at the end. Right? So the summary here is for the poor performers, I do the performance appraisal at the end, but I don't hesitate in calling spade a spade. I don't shout at them. I will continue to be polite with them, but I tell them that okay, this is not acceptable. Next slide, please. Now, they say B players. B players are steady workers. They are silent workers. They usually form 70 to 80% of the workforce. Right? So, proverbial, they say that it is like, okay, wheel that never speaks, never gets the grease. So these are the people, they will definitely, that is silently working. They are constantly working. They are up to the mark. They are not a star players. They are not super achievers, nor they are poor performers. They are your solid citizens. They continue to work with you silently. So what happen is usually there's managers, they fall into pitfall of ignoring them as well. So who are the B players? The B players will be the people who are reformed A player or improved C player. So either somebody was possibly excellent performer because of some reason, or because possibly he decided to have a better work-life balance, or possibly he has got some heartbreak, or possibly he has got some disconnect with the management or manager, then possibly he rolls down his performance and then he comes down to become a B player. So either he was A player, he become B player now, so his performance decreases, or there could be some C player whose performance was not good and they improve on it and then they become B player. So I will understand what is the priority of my B player, what they want. I need to speak to them, and then definitely I need to recognize and reward them. So most of the managers, they fall into this pitfall that the silent workers who are not saying anything, they will be ignored. So we say that no, the crying baby gets the milk. So that's what happening. So star performers or the poor performers, the focus goes there, and B players possibly usually are ignored. Next slide, please.
Yeah, sir, before you head forward, let me just launch that series that I wanted to do. I'll
Sure,
just do
please.
that quickly. Okay, launching on poll. So what do you guys think managers spend their maximum time on what kind of performance? The poor performers, is it the A players, or is it the average performance? So we have ABC here basically. So if we leave this on for about 40 seconds, followed by which I will launch one more. Okay, okay.
Right.
Great.
That's what we discussed.
Yeah, so as the results say, it's obviously the A players and the
The
polls.
the average performers who form the maximum chunk, maybe
Yeah.
60-70%. So they are usually ignored. So
Right.
it is common phenomenon. Yes.
Okay. Right, let me just launch another poll quickly. Work relationship with the manager in the process of performance appraisal. Let me know what you think. Ms. Hassan, I'm not sure I did share the results. But that's all right. I'll share the next one. I hope you're able to see this poll. There was one strongly disagree. Interesting.
Right. So thank you for participating in this poll. Right. Usually, yeah. So ideally, the relationship with your manager should, with the manager should improve after the performance appraisal. But if I say that, okay, according to my experience, usually in most of the cases, it is it deteriorates, unfortunately. Right. In case if the manager is not trained enough, the manager is trained and skillful, then it leads to that, okay, then the relationship improves further.
Great. Okay. Yeah. All right, sir. You can move on with the slides.
Yes. Now, the other usually what happen is most of the organization, what they will do is they will close on performance appraisal of this year, and then they will in the same meeting will set the goal for the next year. So for financial year, for example, 22-23, I finished my appraisal meeting with my colleagues, my co-workers, or my reportees, and in the same meeting, then I say that, okay, now we are finished with the performance appraisal for this year. Now let's sit together and set goal for the next year. The challenge with this is that although it is a very, very simple thing to do because you want to continue the discussion, but what's happening here is that you see many times performance appraisal meetings are emotionally charged. So this is not the right approach. So definitely always it is suggested that review meeting should not be combined with the goal setting meeting. So you have a separate goal setting meeting and you should have a separate review meeting. Next slide, please. Now this is a common phenomena. So it always gets jitters. People get nervous whenever they are going for a performance review. So I think we should have a poll here now. How many of people agree or not? Right. Anyway, so it gives butterfly in the stomach, right? At least for me, when initial days it used to give me, but when we started training our managers and we also got trained, and when our performance appraisal process become more refined, so usually these butterflies they flee away. Now let's see how do we conduct a review conversation. If I am a good boss, I will consider logistic, I will set the correct tone, discuss performance only, and I will prepare very well for this, and I will create a right environment. I will create a time where there's least disturbance, when I will lock my cabin and I will not allow other people, so that I can devote 100% one-to-one time to my colleague, right? So it should not happen that I'm answering 10 calls and not paying attention on what the person has to say and then conduct the performance review. Next slide, please. Right, quickly. So it is the slides are self-explanatory, do's and don'ts. So in performance appraisal interview, we prepare in advance, focus on performance and development, specific about reasons of rating. So I need to tell the reason why I am rating my my colleague, why I'm giving him rating 2, 4, 5. So I should be very, very specific and explain it, right? After that, then I have to decide on specific step for taken for the improvement. So I should not end my performance appraisal by just telling what this is your rating. We should also link it to what is the step, what is the next step, what we have to do next. This is how we have to do it. We will reinforce the desired behavior. If somebody has performed well, we'll appreciate it and focus on the future performance. What we should not do? We should not definitely lecture the employees. Don't take it as an opportunity to show your power to your people. Don't let it become a monologue. Don't do all the talking. Don't also make salary performance appraisal salary or promotion issue. Many times you will find people coming up with a no, they don't want to understand. They don't want to know where they stand in performance rating. They are just bothered about, sir, am I going to get increment or will I get promotion? So they are just thinking about what is, they say, what is in for me. So for the employee, it is either promotion or salary. So when I am doing performance appraisal interview, I make it very clear in this discussion, I will discuss only about performance appraisal with you. And so please help me in understanding your performance. In this meeting, we will not discuss about your salary increment and or your promotion cases, right? Similarly, I will not only concentrate on negative, definitely every employee will have some positives and some negatives. And then, so we start with the possibly sandwich approach. We start with good things, and then we tell them what is negative, and then or negative or means development areas, and then we again conclude meeting by the positive things and by the employee. Right? We should try to make sure that both the parties agrees in most of the areas. And also the common pitfall the managers make is they say that okay, oh Mr. Avinash has done like this, and see you are like this. So don't compare this employee with any other employee. The comparison will not, it will psychologically take the focus of the employee on the other person. So rather he will try to compare with other person, and the argument of people telling about other colleagues, their negative thing. So it will derail the whole of appraisal interview process. Next slide, please. So this is how people usually feel that many of the managers, they just do the nitpicking. They say that, okay, everything is negative in you. I hope it's not with in most of the organization. I just pray. Next, please. So we are usually almost coming to the end of this. So we will just take that various errors. So I will say the most important error here is rater bias. Rater bias is people feel that, okay, I have prejudice or I have a particular thinking about a particular employee. So I will rate a particular employee on very, very subjective basis. I will not rate employee based on the objective achievement of his target. Other important thing is people, they make mistakes, central tendency. What they do is possibly employee think that, okay, oh, it's going to be unsafe to call a person that you are not a good performer. So possibly I will try to give everybody average rating. So when I give average rating, so there will be no conflict within the group and everybody will be happy. So that doesn't work. So I'm not differentiating a performer with non-performer. So when I have the central tendency, this is going to be harmful for the performance of the organization, right? Other possible pitfall is recency effect. In recency effect, what happened is I remember what was done by my employee in the last month, recently. So when I'm doing annual appraisal, so I am just remembering what was done last year, last month. I don't, possibly employee would have done great things, maybe possibly for last 11 months. And maybe for some reason for last 1 month or couple of months, his performance would have gone down. So I should be very, very objective. I should not rate employee based on only last two. It could be positive or negative way. So I should take the whole period of appraisal and take performance during that appraisal period and then rate according to that. Halo effect and horn effect, the generalization made from one trait. For example, a person is good in a particular aspect, so I will rate that employee every good in all other aspects. So that is halo effect. So one positive aspect effect, all rating on all other objective positively. One horn effect, a negative aspect of one employee is going to impact negatively on all other goals of the employee. So these are some of the common data areas. Sorry, I'm slightly rushing through. I understand it is slightly getting set, but it is important that we try to cover maximum points. Yes.
That is
please.
fine, sir. No problem. No problem.
Next slide,
I
please.
move the next slide.
Now McKinsey is using a very useful tool on, they call it 9-box talent matrix. So here they map performance versus potential. So performance definition we have understood. Now let me try to clarify what is meaning of potential. So by potential, here with potential we mean the ability of a person to do the next role. Can the person I am speaking to, can he occupy a larger role? Can he take a bigger challenge? Can he grow further? So that is what, if a person, the answer is yes, then I will say that a person has a bigger potential or higher potential to grow. Potential to growth possibly will help you and understand it better, right? So on one hand, there is potential. On one hand, there is a performance. So suppose imagine a employee who is having low potential, so he cannot be promoted, he cannot occupy further bigger roles. Neither his performance in current role is high. So his performance is low, his potential is also low. So he is an underperformer, right? In this case, possibly what I will do is I will try to manage this person out, because he is of no use further. He cannot go further, neither he can perform, neither is performing better. Now, I want your attention towards the trusted professional, the box in yellow. So many of the people who are working for long period in any organization, they fall in this category. So their performance is very high, right? So and they are, and remember, there is something known as Peter's principle. It says that people rise to the level of their efficiencies. So people had been promoted in the organization, and now they reach a position where they are not promotable further. But whatever tasks they are doing exceedingly well. So I have HR executive or account executive, so who was a junior accountant or HR assistant, but doing by over a period of time, with few years, he has moved and he is occupying a position of an executive. But the person cannot take a position of a manager because of skills issue, or possibly I cannot develop him further. His potential is limited. So these people, they are trusted professionals. So we should keep them and encourage them, and we will use these people to possibly try to guide people. They are the best people to be used for as a buddy. To use them as a buddy. On the other hand, take on the top right hand corner future leader star. So these are the people who has high potential and who have got high performance. So they are typical stars. So you need to give a separate treatment to these people. So they are hungry for growth. They're performing extremely well in their current role, and you are sure that they will be able to occupy the higher positions. They can further grow in the organization. Stars should be fast tracked, should be given special training, and should be monitored, right? So McKinsey uses this possibly, and this is a very important tool. They use it for succession planning. So Rupali Lal is asking about Enigma. So Enigma would be the people, so they are mystery. I don't know what will happen with them. Possibly they could be new joinee. So I believe that, okay, a person who has joined me new. So in the interview, he was exceedingly performing very well. But for some reason, his performance currently is not good. Now, what do? I still want to give him a chance. Right? I'm not very sure. I cannot make an opinion that this guy is an underperformer, because I always believe that he is still having a high potential. Right? When I involve him, he is able to give suggestions. He is able to come up with good presentations. He is able to sometimes help his colleagues also. Right? He is having that. But when it comes to his individual performance, they are usually not there, right? So Rahul Kaushik has said very correctly. So they are usually disengaged. So it could be possibly then I have to find out what is the reason. Whether are they getting the right environment? Can I transfer them under some other leader? So right environment is given, or whether they are having the right tools, or are they in the right job. So based on that, I take a calculation and then take a call. So McKinsey's 9-box talent matrix is a very, very useful tool. And as somebody has asked me in the question, this could be used for succession planning. So possibly I will use the people in green for succession planning, right? Possibly people in any yellow, possibly I need to observe or let them continue what they are doing it. People in red and slightly brown, red definitely I have to plan their exit strategy. In brown, possibly then I will transfer them one, try to train them again. If there is no change, then possibly I can move them to red and then take a call. Right? So I hope it clarifies. McKinsey 9-box tool is used by many of the organizations, and it is used in extensively used in talent management. Next slide, please. Thank you, Rupali, for asking question. Now there were queries on force distribution on bell-shaped curve. So what happened is bell-shaped curve or force distribution is that I compulsorily classify my team under these categories. So I can have only 10%. I should definitely put 10% of people into unsatisfactory performance category, and so back. Similarly, I can put only 10% people as outstanding, 40% exceed meet expectation. So this is this percentage. The value is, and just for example, it can vary from organization to organization. But in force distribution, the leadership or the organization will strategically say that, okay, now we want to follow this distribution curve and all the people should be distributed accordingly. Now the question is whether we should follow it or not. So this was first introduced by Jack Welch in GE, and it was extensively used. So what he was doing is he was saying that, okay, all the people would be categorized and 10%, bottom 10% people in my organization will be asked to exit. So he was every year removing bottom 10%. So what was happening for first year, possibly the real people who were poor performers were asked to exit. Next year, possibly slightly other people who were identified and they were asked to exit. But later on, what happened is it became a cutthroat competition, right? Then it was survival of the fittest. The internal bickering and infighting, it began. Then because of that reason, the environment became very, very political, negative. The connotation of the force discipline became very, very negative. Because of that, many of the organizations, they have stopped using it. So if you ask me how should I use it or not, then I will say that, okay, you can use it in certain cases. For example, if I am having multiple SBUs, right? So in my organization, I have got different units, different business units. And in one of the units, the managers or the head of the unit decide that, okay, he will be lenient and he give everybody very, very high rating. So in his unit, almost 90% of people, they are meet expectation and above, and around 40% are outstanding. Whereas the other SBU in my organization, because the manager is very, very strict, or the head of department is strict, he possibly is giving maybe 30% or 40% people into unsatisfactory. So what I'm trying to bring in here is, in two different SBUs for the same organizations, people are using different way of rating people, right? So there is leniency error, or possibly there is central tendency error. So because of that, the even distribution is not there. So there may be a good performer, but because there has been strict rating, then possibly he would have been put into unsatisfactory, labeled as unsatisfactory performer. In fact, whereas his performance would be high. So in that cases, possibly, then I will say that, okay, I will give a clear direction to my people that definitely will be using force distribution. So I can also link it to the performance of the SBU. I can say that, okay, SBU which has performed maybe 100% or above will have maybe is allowed to have 10% outstanding people, or SBU which is achieving less than 100% or which is achieving only 75% of the target cannot be allowed to have any outstanding people, right? So I cannot say that, okay, my people are outstanding, but my performance of my SBU was poor. So the force distribution in a way strategically will help in such cases. So it will also force your manager to be fair and to ensure that he is able to distinguish between people who are non-performers with people who are performers, right? So next slide, please. So now we are just at the end of this one. After this, we'll take some question and answers. So latest trend in performance management is Deloitte has created a new approach. So where they are doing away with the 360-degree feedback and cascading objective and yearly review. Instead, what Deloitte is asking is they are telling managers to ask 4 questions. So the manager are expected to answer 4 questions about each employee. So these 4 questions will contain 4 pillars. So they will answer on compensation, teamwork, poor performance, and promotion. So it is futuristic. So and also it removes lot of hassles. So the lot of complexity is removed by this. So the Deloitte manager, when he's answering about Mr. A, then he is answering, okay, what do you think? Do you think that the compensation of Mr. A is okay, or should we increase the compensation? Do you think Mr. A is having a proper good teamwork or not? The performance of Mr. A is poor, or how do you rate his performance? Whether Mr. A is a promotion or not. So based on 4 futuristic questions, what they have done is they have shifted the focus from what has been done earlier, from post-mortem to here they are thinking on how we can keep the person healthy in future, or how we can improve the performance, right? It is followed by weekly check-ins. So similarly, there is the manager need to weekly check in and find out what is performance of the people, and they have to submit quarterly feedback. In case of Netflix, they have eliminated formal performance review. So in Netflix, there is no formal performance review, whereas they are implementing here informal 360-degree review. So in this case, they will not ask a lot of formal questions. They will ask people just to identify what colleague should start, stop, or continue doing. 3 questions asked, 360-degree review closed. So it brings to another question that I remember someone asked about 360-degree, whether we should do it or not. So my answer, based on my understanding, is 360-degree feedback mechanism depends on the maturity of your organization. If the organization is mature, then please go ahead. If the organization is not mature, where people they cannot take the feedback positively, they take it negatively, and they start doing politicking, right? And it is more of a blame game, and people are mature enough to evaluate only on the performance, not a personal relationship, then go ahead. Whereas most of the organization, what happens, why they have done away with 360-degree is because it is very cumbersome. Second is they found out that people, instead of rating other people on performance, they start rating on the personal relationship. If I like person A, then I will rate that person very high. I had been going with the other person on various parties, then definitely when it comes to me, when I get opportunity to rate him, I will definitely rate him very high. So irrespective of performance, so the 360-degree, the feedback is more of relationship management. So if the organization is not mature enough, so it is not advisable to go with the 360-degree management. Next slide, please. So this is the last slide. So many of the organizations, they are going ahead with electronic performance monitoring system. So remotely, the manager find out what person is doing, how many times, he has logged in, logged out, what was his screen time, etc. So this is the new way of monitoring people. In certain like Tesco, they are asking their warehouse logistic guys to wear wearables. So they are wearing the armbands. So they wear the armbands, and with the help of armbands, they measure where the person has moved, what are the things they have picked, and then so back, so forth, so back and forth. So by electronic management system, people are having a closer monitoring on the people. So we can go to next slide, please.
Yeah, that actually brings us to the end, sir. But there's also an annex 1 and 2 that yeah,
So we can
mentioned.
skip possibly. So possibly what we'll do is, Mrs. Siddharth will have some question answers and we'll see.
Yeah, sure. So, audience, I know, I'm pretty sure that there is a lot of takeaway from today's presentation, although we had a really long session. But it was necessary, as Mr. Avinash mentioned. So what we're going to do, obviously, we have extended way beyond that time. But thank you so much, all of you, for staying with us. And a huge shout out and appreciation to Mr. Avinash for having spent his 2 hours on this and on the content as well. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you very
I'm sure the audience had a lot of takeaways from the session. So what we will do is, since we have anywhere run out of time, we can quickly spend about 5 minutes on Q&A, if that's okay.
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 So possibly I can submit a written reply if they want, or
Yes, absolutely. I'll do that, sir. So what's going to happen is I'll send out a follow-on mail for all of them, post-webinar mailer, and I will, what I'll do is I'll also tag you. So
Sure.
those of them who would like to respond to you or reach out to you at any point, will be able to do so. Okay.
Sure.
But before I wrap up, I would just like to know if there's anyone who would like to unmute and talk to Mr. Avinash. I'll be able to do that rather than me attending to the few queries. Obviously, there are queries which are in line with the topic itself, sir. They might have been addressed, but I just want to know if there's anyone who would like to interact with Mr. Avinash directly by unmuting. Please let me know. You can either raise your hand or give me a yes on chat. I'll be able to do that right away. Okay, we have one. We have one of them. Mr. Jawahar. I will do that right away. Mr. Jawahar, you should be able to unmute and talk.
Hello. Yeah, Ms. Jawar.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Avinash.
Hi.
Just want to say hi
Hello.
and then thank you for the great session.
Thank you
The
very
best
much.
there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else would like to interact on any aspect of the topic? Okay. All right, nobody. I think there's one question, Mr. Avinash, there's one on that, the Enigma page that you had explained.
Yeah.
So Ms. Supali had asked what is Enigma exactly. I'm not sure if it was addressed at that point of time.
Yeah. I understood. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. And Q&A, can KRA be changed every quarter as management keeps demanding for this change every quarter? Is it a right way from Athira?
Yes. So it is I will say it is a tricky situation, right? But I will suggest that you should be changing it, because
Okay.
it's better to be agile, to be in right path. So I decided to go to maybe Chennai, but for some reasons, for the change in market situation, I have to go to Mumbai. So I should do a course correction.
Right.
So better to change it.
Okay. Very okay. There's a lot of rather complementing answers is what I would say as I'm reading through. While you were actually going through the topic, there are many who are complementing to what you spoke.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you all the participants. Thank you, Mr. Siddharth and web team.
The pleasure is mine, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
What I think this is what we'll do, sir. I'll send out a post-webinar mailer. If there's anyone who's actually interested in interacting with you over mail, they'll be able to do that, sir.
Most welcome.
Okay. All right. So
Thank you.
on that note, I would like to close the session for today. And as promised, we will share the recording link as well, post the webinar. And on that note, thank you all and have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Mr. Avinash.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening.